because our next speaker, Julie Fink, is coming with a very interesting perspective from the World Association of Girl Guide and Girl Scouts. And I know that this idea of building collaboration and working across non-traditional partners is one that Julie has been working on, even though she's just 23 years old. She's from Denmark. She's really excited to be in Cancun. This is her second time participating on a delegation for the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. But she's been part of the Girl Guide movement for some 15 years. And in chatting with Julie yesterday, she reminded me, she said, you know, Rajmark, you have to remember our Minister of Climate in the Environment, the Minister of Climate in Denmark is also our Minister of Gender Equality. So it was interesting to see that coming together. And one of the things that I really liked in my discussion with Julie is she said, you have to remember that women are agents of change. They are the ones to bring change to the communities. So we look forward to hearing Julie's stories and comments on how she's engaging young women. Julie?
Thank you, and thanks for giving me the chance to speak here. I would like to start with a story. In 2006, I was volunteering in Zambia for half a year. I worked in a school for vulnerable girls from the streets of Lusaka, that's the capital of Zambia. These girls were orphans, and they had no chance to get to school and no one to look after them. Often they had to take care of all of their siblings, and they were working hard to get food for the whole family. Some of them even had to sell their body. Because of their position in the society, they were all very likely to get pregnant and infected by HIV in an early age. The girls stayed in the school a year, and while they were there, they were, among other things, educated on the issue of AIDS and other sexually transmitted diseases. And they learned how to avoid getting pregnant. In the end of the year, the relatives were invited to come and see the school. When this day came up, I heard the girls talking about decorating their room. They were sleeping in a dorm. They wanted it to look pretty for this special day. When I entered the room late in the afternoon, it was full of balloons hanging down from the ceiling, but the balloons were actually condoms in different colors. I was really surprised to see this, because in Zambia, sexual and reproductive health right is a difficult topic to talk about in certain communities. Especially the use of condoms can be controversial, as you all know. Even just talking about these issues with the parents was hard, sometimes impossible, for these girls before they went to the school. What I want to say with this story is that I hope one day all girls around the world will be as free to talk about sex and contraception as these girls were, after being educated on the topic. As Roger Mork said, I'm here at COP16 as a part of the WAGGGS delegation, that is World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. And I represent 10 million members in 145 countries, all females of all ages. We know that women are the most affected by climate change, and we are here to make the world leaders understand that we need to invest in girls and young women to stop climate change. Also, they need to be taken into account in the text of UNFCCC, as well as in the negotiations. Our mission as an organization is to empower girls and young women around the world. That is one way to make them be agents of change in terms of also climate change. We have realized that sexual and reproductive health rights play an important role in this. We need to provide a safe space for girls to openly discuss the issues of STIs and contraception to give them the possibility of choosing their own lifestyle. Therefore, we are carrying out a range of projects around the world with the aim of educating the girls on these topics through non-formal education. In these projects, it is important for us that the girls themselves are involved in designing the programs and carrying out their activities. In this way, they can act as role models to their peers. At the same time, it is so much easier to discuss these issues with one at your own age. I guess you all know that. So I'll give shortly 2 examples of projects. One project we have in Peru is called You Decide. This program encourages adolescent girls to delay the start of their sexual activity, emphasizing the impact that early pregnancy would have on their lives, promoting sexual education through peer education, and thereby reducing the number of adolescent pregnancy. And an estimated number of 700 girls will benefit from this program. Another project, and one that I have been personally involved in is a partnership program between the Girl Guides of Denmark and the Girl Guides Zambia. And we had this program for 10 years. The purpose of this project is to unite girls from a developed country and a developing country in the fight against HIV and AIDS. It is also to empower young women in Zambia to make them able to choose their own, choose on their own when to have a sexual debut and when to have a family. And finally, the aim of the project is to make girls in Denmark fundraise for scholarship for the girls in Zambia, especially those girls who have no other chance to get an education.
Thanks very much, Julie. Lots of great stories, particularly like the story of the use of condoms as balloons. And I have 2 teenage boys, and I'm trying to make sure that they use condoms not just as balloons, but for other purposes. So I always hope we're successful in these endeavors. Julie, I was particularly struck by your mentioning of the collaboration between the Girl Guides in Denmark and Zambia. And I wondered whether you could offer any reflections on ways and differences between how you think girls in developed countries and girls in developing countries look at the linkages between this issue, gender, women's empowerment, sexuality, and climate change. Are you seeing any differences in your communication, in your programs, in how those both sets of girls are looking at these issues? Or do you find that as youth, as young people, you all just have a common understanding and feel encouraged and mobilized and immediately understand these linkages? What do you think?
Actually speaking, speaking about Denmark, I think there's a lot of people who don't see this link between gender equality and climate change. And I think we have to keep talking about this topic to make people understand that the link is there and that it's important. I think the youth in Zambia, they are more aware of this connection because they feel it on their own bodies. Yeah.
Interesting. So once again, there are always opportunities to learn from each other through these collaborations. Excellent. Please.
Well, definitely. One of the purposes of having this, carrying out this project in Denmark is to give the young girls in Denmark a perspective on how life is in the developing countries. That's
Great.
really important.
And it's wonderful that they're mobilizing and doing some fundraising to support you.
Yeah. By now we have 250 girls in school in Zambia because of scholarships.
Great. Wow. Congratulations. Thank you. So sort of thinking